about the real estate recovery. And I kind of like to use the word recovered as opposed to recovery.
I see. Why?
If we back from where we were in 2009, we're in Battle Creek. We'll probably end the third best year in the history of Battle Creek for home values and home sales.
Really?
So you take a look at that and you say that's a sign of recovery. That's a sign that we've recovered.
We're there.
Yeah, we're there.
So do people realize that?
I think that's the problem. I think that it's something that unless you're in the market, you're not really paying attention to it.
Right.
But at the same time, you kind of want to know that your house values are going up, that it's a good investment, and that things are going well in the community. So, you got to get out there and let people know that it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Is it fair to say the values are going up now? I mean, just generally speaking, or are we, as you say, recovered? We're as far as we're going to go with that, and we're plateauing now. I mean, that's kind of the inference I get. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, we're absolutely seeing prices go up.
Mm-hmm.
Average price is going to end up around the fourth best we've ever seen in the history of Battle Creek. And obviously, average price is only one indication that values are going up.
Right.
But it's obviously a great sign if you're a seller.
Yes. Right. How about if you're a buyer?
Well, one of the things that people ask all the time about is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even though we're seeing prices go up, I don't think it's giving an unreasonable advantage to the sellers.
Okay.
I think that when you start to see a seller's market or a buyer's market, for me, that kind of definition is that the seller can artificially just add extra dollars on the price and get it. And we're not there yet. It's based on market values and fair market values, even though those are going up for the sellers.
When you can market the special powder I spread on my on my yard to make that happen, please let me know.
That's exactly right. You want that to happen when you put your house on the market.
Well, and I just went through it, and I can attest to you that that's true. You can't just set a price and they come running. What Dan is saying, Kathy, you feel that, what he's saying?
Yes, I would agree with Dan. The prices have been increasing.
Mm-hmm.
We do monthly stats for the Michigan Realtors, and if people want to look at those stats around the whole state, you can go to www.michiganrealtors.com.
Okay.
And they would be able to look at some of that statistical information regarding the whole state, so you could compare it to other areas of the state as well.
All right. We're going to talk more about that when we come back in just a minute on WBCK 830. 8:15 WBCK. We're talking real estate with Dan Jaqua at Jaqua Realtors and Kathy Perrett with the Battle Creek Area Association of Realtors. I think I turned that around right this time. There we go. So thanks to the both of you for being here today. Is there a segment of the market that is always active, more than others?
I would tell you that the middle range seems to be the most active. And when I talk about the middle range, and statistically, Kathy talked about this, but that tends to be that $100,000 to $300,000 price range. It's the middle of the market.
A lot of us are there.
And it makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for a lot of different reasons that hits where the demand is. So that traditionally has been, the strongest market, and this year it is the strongest market.
And that probably doesn't vary by territory. I mean, Battle Creek probably fits right into that, right, Kathy?
Yes, I'd agree.
Yeah. And Kalamazoo, too, probably.
Absolutely.
Jaqqua's active there, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've heard it said recently that inventory is low. And to some extent, if you're interested in selling, you might get some real attention, maybe faster than an average year. Is that true?
Absolutely. That's probably the thing that we're paying most attention to, and that is the supply really in the Battle Creek area is at a 20-year low. So
20 years?
Yeah, 20 years, which is pretty unbelievable if you think about how populations have changed in 20 years, that we're at an all-time low. So What that means is we're seeing days on the market go down. We're seeing the differential between the price that people are offering and what things are selling for going up. I mean, all signs that supply is making buyers make decisions faster because if they find something, they're moving on it.
Yeah, and the sense is you have to.
You have to. You have to, or someone else will.
Yeah, right.
So,
I was talking to my neighbor whose son just bought a home in the Holland, Zeeland area. They have bidding wars going on over there. Wow.
That's happening in our market as well.
I thought that was just L.A.
Well, it's not happening to the extent that it happens in L.A.
Right.
or that dramatic, but
Right.
But it is happening.
That is really interesting. What is the root cause of a 20-year low in inventory? We're just not putting our houses on the market. Is that it?
I mean, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, when things took a dive in 2009, we had a number of builders that just got out of the market. So one of the concerns, not only locally but nationally, is that we're not putting enough houses back or building enough homes. So we need our builders to come back and start building new homes.
Wow.
So that's one thing that I think is causing it. The other thing that is causing it is the fact that when the market kind of took a dive, people chose to improve their house and stay as opposed to keep moving. And so we need to get those people back into the market and putting their house on the market so new buyers can come in.
Is it a hard and fast assumption that if you're improving your home, then you're taking a bunch of money that you would have put down on the next one, and now you've tied yourself to that property for a long time? Or is it just prolonging a few years stay and then I'll go?
Well, improvement's an interesting conversation because sometimes people improve for their own enjoyment,
right?
Which doesn't mean that it actually increases the value of the home. It just increases their enjoyment of the home.
Yeah.
And then there is improvement that actually increases the value of your home. And if you're doing those things, then that's a good return on your money, right? You're obviously going to get that back at some point. But if you're doing it for your enjoyment's sake, it's hard to get those dollars back.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if the inventory is low, when people look at something that may not show as well, does that matter as much anymore now because there's so much less to choose from? Are people more open-minded to doing work that needs to be done?
Well, I would say no.
Okay.
And I would say that one of the things that's the greatest indicator of that for me, I've been in the business 23 years, is that home staging is just blown up. It is 5 years ago, no one was home staging. Now we have companies that are doing that all over. And the reason they're doing it is because buyers want to walk in, see a house the way they can use it, and they don't have time to make those improvements.
That's really interesting. I know, I know a couple who put their house on the market and they had a stager tell them, take down that plaid wallpaper in your bathroom because nobody wants to see that. And they said, we're not doing that. We don't want to do any work. Went on the market. And they just let it go the way it is because you hear what you just said, stage it so people can envision. But then you hear people also say, don't do a whole lot because people want to figure out their own strategy for what they want.
Interesting, the people that say, oh, let the next buyer deal with it, aren't in the real estate business. Every real estate professional out there would tell you, put the house in the best shape possible because that's going to bring you the highest dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hard part is that in many cases, sellers don't want to do that. It takes time. It takes money. And sometimes they've let things go so long, it's hard to get it back, if that makes sense.
Sure. You could spend a fair amount of money putting things a certain way, and then maybe it doesn't return. Kathy's nodding here, agreeingly.
Yes, we talked about that last year around this time.
Yeah.
And it was that buyers wanted to just be able to go in and live in the home without doing much.
I'm raising my hand. Kind of in that zone. Man, even painting sometimes, can somebody else just do that? I mean, sometimes you just want to be able to just move yourself in, put your jammies on, and crash.
Yeah, I think we would pay a lot more money for time, and we don't have enough time, and so that's obviously affecting the housing market too, because people want to move in.
Wow. Interesting. All right, we'll take a break and come back and talk about some of the seasonal factors about real estate that you hear a lot about. We'll see if they still come into play when we come back in a minute on WBCK. 24 WBCK. Dan Jaqua here from Jaqua Realtors, and as well Kathy Perrett, who heads up the Battle Creek Area Association of Realtors, who's also here with us today. We were talking about staging. Let's define what that means. What does staging really mean?
Staging really is not decorating.
Okay.
Many people assume that that's what we're asking. What staging is designed to do is to show a buyer the potential of the space. And a lot of it is decluttering and organizing the room in a manner that a buyer can see how the room could be used for themselves, not how the room is being used by the current seller.
People have trouble separating themselves from their space, don't they? When they're thinking
yes,
about
it's
that.
very personal.
Yeah.
It's very personal. It's almost like your wardrobe. If I tell you should get a new shirt, you take that personally. I mean, and a lot of times that's the same way it happens in the real estate business too. When we suggest that you rearrange the room, your immediate reaction is, what's wrong with it now?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And what we're really trying to do, it's not about you, it's about how we portray that house to a potential buyer.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so realtors nowadays are well-versed in the advice on this, are they not?
They are. And as I said before, 5 years ago, we didn't have any professional stagers in the market.
Yep.
And now we have many companies that are offering that service for a fee.
What's that cost? Is it a lot?
Usually between $150 and $300.
That's it?
Yeah, it's very inexpensive. Wow. Now, obviously, if the stager suggests that you paint or, purchase furniture or something along those lines, then it can be more expensive than that.
Sure, but the advice.
But the advice and consultation and simple things that can really help the look of the house, they all make a difference.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at listings, I think it was yesterday, and there was a house with all these colors. The bedrooms were bright greens and blues, and I'm reading the advice about this home, and it says $100 gift card to your local home improvement store to change the paint.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, they really don't want to paint.
They are giving you a sign.
Yes.
You do it yourself.
We presume the realtor said, you probably should change these colors. And they said, we'll just pay to change the colors. How about that? Well, I thought that was interesting. There is a point at which you say, yes, I'm going to do that, or no, I'm not, and you accept the results.
Everything becomes a function of price, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want the highest value for your home, you should put it in the highest potential use or condition, right? Yeah. If you're not interested in getting this highest value, then obviously you can slack in the condition and decor.
Mm-hmm. So we hear that springtime is when everybody, the flowers come out, da-da-da, and all of a sudden, with the flowers, the real estate signs pop up on lawns like magic. Is that still true?
Well, Rich, we still live in Michigan.
Yes, right.
So, snowfall does affect, it dampens the interest in going out and looking for houses. Mm-hmm. And so we do have a seasonal trend to our market. There's no question about it. But I would tell you, based on what's happened over the last 3 years with the real estate demand, I would expect that those seasonal trends will not be as significant in this coming year. Now, obviously, that's a factor. If we get a 2-foot blizzard, that changes things. But because the demand is so high, and because the activity is good, I think we're going to blow through some of the traditional seasonal trends.
Before we go, so if somebody's listening to this, their house has been listed for a few months, and they said, what demand? What would you say is going on?
Well, we talk about every house and every real estate market is local, and it comes local to just a house, if that makes sense. So a house in a neighborhood. And so it's hard because there are some sellers that aren't selling, and that may mean that there's not as high in demand in their price range or in their market. That could be one factor. The other factor could be condition, which we talked about, staging. It could be that they priced themselves out of the market too early, and now they're shop worn. And that's one of the benefits of pricing your house right at the start, is that you don't linger on the market later as you all of a sudden try to price correct to catch up with the market.
All right, very interesting. And of course, Dan, you work with all sorts of experts that can help figure out these questions on an individual level and individual circumstances. How do we reach you?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things, I'm here on behalf of the association, so we can and represent not just my company, but realtors in general. And so if you're looking for assistance, I encourage you to reach out to your realtor of choice and to get their expert advice.
Kathy, by the way, you get folks who say, I don't know where to begin. How do I choose a realtor?
We do, from members of the public. And what we ask them to do is to call around to different offices, interview the realtor that you're interested in or want to talk to, and ask them some questions regarding their marketing, regarding other things that they may be concerned about in listing their home.
All right. And if you have questions about the questions, the Battle Creek Area Association of Realtors can help figure that out for you.
Yes, and they can reach us at 962-5193.
962-5193. Thanks to the both of you today.
Thank
we
you.
Appreciate it very much.